Great crowd in here today. 1,800 strong in the YouTube chat. 901 strong in the Rumble chats. All right, folks, this next segment is a last-minute addition to the show. Super last minute, super hot off of the presses, courtesy of our friend Max Blumenthal, who bid his own farewell to Secretary of State Antony Blinken today. Just posted this at 11:19 a.m. My final words for Tony Blinken, Secretary of Genocide, and his smirking press secretary, Matt Miller. So, yes, this just happened before we went on air. We just found it, and we're so glad we did. So here's Max Blumenthal saying goodbye to Antony Blinken.
300 reporters in Gaza were on the receiving end of your bombs. Why did you keep the bombs flowing when we had a deal in May? We all knew we had a deal. Everyone in this room knows we had a deal, Tony, and you kept the bombs flowing. Why did you sacrifice the rules-based order on the mantle of your commitment to Zionism? Why did you allow my friends to be massacred? Why did you allow my friends' homes in Gaza to be destroyed when we had a deal in May? You helped destroy our religion, Judaism, by associating it with fascism. You waved the white flag before Netanyahu.
We'll have the time to take questions at the end.
You waved the white flag before Israeli fascism.
We'll have the time to take questions
Your
at the end.
Your father-in-law was an Israel lobbyist. Your grandfather was an Israel lobbyist. Are you compromised by Israel? Why did you allow the Holocaust of our time to happen? How does it feel to have your legacy be genocide? How does it feel to have your legacy be genocide? You too, Matt. You smirked through the whole thing every day. You smirked through a genocide.
Thank you.
Look at that. They sent Matt Miller.
Your father-in-law was an
Sent the
Israel
muscle
lobbyist.
over
Your
there.
grandfather was an Israel lobbyist. Are you compromised by Israel? Why did you allow the Holocaust of our time to happen? How does it feel to have your legacy be genocide? How does it feel to have your legacy be genocide? You too, Matt. You smirked through the whole thing every day. You smirked through a genocide.
Thank you.
Yep.
See, now they only got Matthew Miller because he has that vampire super strength. Max, if he was going to do this, he needed a necklace of garlic.
Yeah. Well, he needed to have some corned beef on rye before he went in there, and then just breathed on him when he came out.
Yeah.
Just a nice mouthy exhale right in Matthew Miller's face. That would have done the trick.
I mean, usually our people aren't fond of crucifixes, but under the circumstances,
yeah,
to come in handy.
You got to do what you got to do. That's right. So obviously, very, very well done by Max there, really checking all the boxes. Obviously, Max has been to Gaza. He's written books about this. He does know people in Gaza. He does have a personal connection to the place. He does know people who have been murdered. And I think what he said there, too, Max is a Jewish guy. So is Antony Blinken. You've destroyed our religion by tying it to fascism. Right. All very, very well said, but not according to CNN. So thanks to Vic B in Vermont, who I think watches our show, because if your Twitter handle is close to what's in the chat here, I'm pretty sure you are a viewer of this program. So thank you for finding this. Just heard CNN smear Max Blumenthal of the Gray Zone News for calling out Blinken during his press conference. They went so far as to say he was an activist, not a journalist. Great work, Max, as always. So here's some CNN coverage of this, courtesy of Vic B in Vermont.
We've been listening to Secretary Blinken taking questions on Israel, Hamas, that deal. But as you heard, he was repeatedly interrupted by some cringeworthy heckling by activists, which is highly unusual in a situation like this. Let's listen to that as he was thanking the press at the beginning of his comments.
Not always the most enjoyable thing, but it is the most necessary thing in our democracy.
Reporters in Gaza were on the receiving end of your bombs. Why did you keep the bombs flowing when we had a deal?
I'm happy to address questions.
We had a deal. Everyone in this room knows we had a deal, Tony. You kept the bombs flowing.
I'm happy to address questions when we get a chance. Thank you.
Based order on the mantle of your commitment to Zionism.
Did you want to finish?
Why did you allow my friends to be massacred? Why did you?
I'm happy to address your questions when we get to questions. Thank you. Thank you.
You helped destroy our religion, Judaism, by associating.
Yeah, I have a statement. Yeah, I have a statement to make. Thank you.
You waved the white flag before Netanyahu. You waved the white flag.
Oh, Vic B in Vermont's in the Rumble chat right now as we speak. There you go. Good on you, Vic B.
Thank you, Vic.
So let's hear this intro once more.
To Secretary Blinken taking questions on Israel, Hamas, that deal. But as you heard, he was repeatedly interrupted by some cringeworthy heckling by activists, which is highly unusual.
What was cringeworthy about that?
Yeah.
I didn't find it cringeworthy. What was cringeworthy?
What a disgusting disgrace this woman is to the profession of journalism. How dare she call herself a journalist, sitting there in that studio peddling propaganda while Max goes into that room and asks the questions that nobody in that room, certainly nobody like her, would have the balls to ask. And that's why she has that job. And this is why nobody watches CNN anymore. Nobody who would ask Antony Blinken those questions would ever be sitting in that chair.
That's right. That's right. It never even occurs to them. Hey, you're being a journalist means, waiting your turn and waiting for them to call on you and asking your very polite question and let them gaslight you out of it, let them spin their way out of it if it's a tough question, and then you take your seat like a good little boy or a good little girl. No, this is an actual act of journalism. And, I like how, she definitely, she calls them activists and not journalists. That was a press room. So
Right.
I'm pretty sure you can't get in that room unless you're a journalist, unless you are a credentialed journalist. This wasn't a town hall. This wasn't, the Atlantic Council, which has, I'm sure you got to get invited to those things, but whatever. It's a civilian event. This was a press room. This was a press room. Pretty obviously here, as you can see, Max getting pulled out of the room here. Those are reporters with their laptop, their microphones. Like everybody who's in there is supposed to be in there because they are, I assume, credentialed press. So they're not simply activists. They're journalists.
Right, of course.
And in his case, he's asking a question that maybe doesn't conform to the rules of civility and normalcy, quote unquote, that would land you a job anchoring a daytime show at CNN. But it's much better work than she's ever done, just in that 1 minute.
Yeah, no, her job and the job of everyone in that studio, it's much closer to prostitution than it is to journalism. You get paid to perform and behave in a certain way, no matter what you might be feeling, and they throw you money. You're not actually a journalist. It is, I've said it many times, CNN is to journalism what grape juice is to grape drink. It's this very poor facsimile, this very poor substitute of the substance of journalism. And the mean girl way that she says it. Yeah, so this is really cringe.
Yeah.
There's a guy asking one of the worst secretaries of state of all time who oversaw a genocide and has an unusual amount of personal responsibility for it because everyone knows the president wasn't really in charge, so really he's responsible. And someone asked him some questions a few days before he leaves his post, and oh my God, I can't believe that he did that. Ugh.
Right.
Ugh.
Yep.
This is why. What they have? I heard a number the other day, like in prime time, they have like 58,000 in the key demographic at this point watching CNN. 58 fucking thousand. Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Very bad.
Like a mid-size YouTube channel will do that on an average clip.
Exactly. Yep. Failing CNN, and that's why. Well, good job to Max over there. Thanks for that. Thanks for giving
that was
us
great.
something to work with. Great job.
That was
great
some of his best work.
Yep, absolutely.
Please clap.